Welcome to the Grandstand Golf Podcast. I am Kevin Bapty, and I'm joined, as always, by my brothers Craig.
Hey, how we doing?
And Adam.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Welcome, guys. So, Adam, why don't you give us a quick tournament recap here?
Yeah, so we had the CJ Cup at Shadow Creek. We had Xander Schauffele up by 3 at the halfway mark. He fell back a little bit on Saturday, but Russell Henley had a 3-stroke lead going into Sunday. Then Jason Kokrak had a really hot Sunday, eventually dueling with Xander down the back 9, but he kind of ran away with it. Shot at 64, ended up winning by 2.
So, Adam, you faded Kokrak last week.
Yes.
And it's been well documented that our fades tend to perform pretty well. So do you think this is a case of the classic fade bump, or did you expect this from Kokrak?
Maybe he got a little bit extra motivation. You know what? There was I tried to get some inside knowledge here, and I did find out that Kokrak was or one of the MGM ambassadors. So I did know that going in. So I did play him in DFS. I will say that.
So basically, from that, like, essentially from what I understand, you can go and like pay to play with one of these guys. So I don't know if his price is going to go up after winning there, but
I'm sure it probably will.
Yeah,
in Vegas, money speaks. So
yeah, he wasn't the only one in the field, but yeah, he was an MGM ambassador. So they have a few courses out in Vegas. Obviously, Shadow Creek was one of the more famous ones and the one highlighted this weekend. But his course knowledge came in handy. Like, it came in handy. He said he's played it probably 20 times or so, and a lot of these guys haven't seen it before the practice rounds this week.
Yeah, he led in putting. So I mean, if you pick up a putt or two over the course of the week, maybe that's the difference. One extra one falling, that's the difference between winning and losing.
Absolutely.
I think it's kind of a shame that Charlie Hoffman wasn't in the field, because I was telling Craig this, but he was a caddy there back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, he was a UNLV guy, and apparently when he was in college, he would work as a caddy there.
That's funny. Yeah, he probably has a little bit of insider knowledge then.
Yeah, no kidding.
So there's some talk. I believe Kokrak's been on the tour for 9 years, and this is his first win. So, Craig, do you think that Kokrak was the best current player without a win?
I mean, personally, I don't. If I had to take, the list of players who don't have a win and pick the favorites going into any given week, I think the one thing that maybe, so on that note, I guess Abraham Answer doesn't have a win yet on the PGA. Scotty Sheffler doesn't. Fleetwood, which that one surprises you a bit because
it's kind of an asterisk.
It's kind of an asterisk because he does have a lot of wins. It's just hasn't been playing much on the PGA till the last few years. But I think it's one of these ones where, maybe he's the best player 35 or older that hasn't won yet. I think it's one of these ones where, someone who's in their second year, like Scotty Sheffler, we don't think of them as one of the best players who hasn't won because it's coming. Whereas a guy like Kokrak, he could potentially go his whole career without winning when you're starting to get up there to 35 without a win.
I was actually surprised. I mean, he's just one of those guys you thought you'd look back and, he picked up a win here in 2015, and then, he had a second one in 2018. Lesser known fields, fall schedule events maybe. So yeah, I was surprised I didn't really put it together that he hadn't had a win yet.
To be perfectly honest, I'm pretty surprised that Craig didn't try to squeeze Will Zalatoris into this conversation.
Well, I was actually thinking about that. I was thinking as I was going through the list of guys, and I was like, I would actually take Zalatoris over but pretty good field for your first win. It's not a lesser event in any way. I don't think so.
Except that it's a limited field, but
But limited field, but still,
limited fields are often strong fields.
Yeah, exactly. The WGCs are limited fields. Masters is a limited field. It's not like we take anything away from those.
No, we certainly don't. So Xander finished second for the second time in recent memory after his second place at the Tour Championship. Adam, do you think Xander has to start playing better when he has the lead?
Oh, I think Craig wants to say something here.
I still question the whole second place at the Tour Championship first off.
God.
It's just the last time we saw him up by the top of the leaderboard. We don't need to get into this.
We don't need to get into that, but
So I think we have here he's 0-3 after a 36-hole lead and 0-3 after a 54-hole lead. I don't know. That kind of seems like picking stats to kind of fit their narrative. I don't really believe that he needs to play better with the lead. Xander, I mean, he's still really young. He's done incredibly well for someone his age. I don't know. I'm not buying that.
I also don't think that this was a case of Xander losing the tournament as it was of Kokrak just playing really good today and making a lot of birdies.
See, I disagree a bit, and hear me out, because so I think we were talking about Cantley last week, and to me this is a little bit of similar to what you were trying to say, where someone who wants to be in that upper echelon, and we're talking about Xander like he should be a top 5 player, and I think he should be. He had a 3-hole, 36-hole lead, and he came out and shot a 74 on Saturday. And fair enough, he didn't have it on Saturday. He had a poor swing. He had a very average to mediocre putting day. But if you are never getting it done with a 36 or 54-hole lead, like, it's hard to think about if you're talking about DJ or Rory or JT. Like, they close those kind of tournaments out.
You're forgetting an important name there. Tiger. He's the
Tiger's the classic. I mean, until last year, he'd never come from behind to win a major. But I guess it's just we talk about Xander, and no one has anything bad to say about Xander, and with good reason. But if he wants to be a top 5, one of the big dogs, it can't always be the come from behind charging type. Sometimes you just have to go run away with tournaments.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, and it's interesting you bring up that Cantley comparison, because I did get skewered for that by you guys. So,
I
don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you there, though. It's true. You expect if somebody's going to be in the top 10, top 5 range in the world, they need to go out and win these tournaments when they have a chance. And it's the exact same thing that I was saying about Cantley last week. So yeah, I agree with you there.
So do you think?
I do think Kokrak had a hot day today. And
I think Xander had a great Sunday. It's just more his Saturday that let him down.
So they were tied. Kokrak and Xander were tied on 16, the long par 4, 600 plus yard
par 5.
Sorry. And Xander kind of made a mess of it. And are you saying that like he lost it there? They were tied going into that hole.
I mean, to me, Xander came in. I don't know what he ended up 66 on the day.
I'm not.
Yeah, I think it was a 66 to a Kokrak 64.
To Kokrak 64. I mean, I don't think Xander in any way lost it today. I think he did a great job charging, and I think if anything, it was his Saturday, and not that he choked in any way. He didn't have it, and apparently he had a really bad range session, and it carried out to the course. He just it's one of these things where all of us have been out there on a golf course and not had your swing. And so when you are leading a golf tournament and for whatever reason, maybe you had a bad night's sleep for whatever reason, your body's just not letting you do what you want. But for him, he was in the lead, and it was a day where he went out and shot a 74 on a course he shouldn't have done that.
And we have talked in the past too about how we always assume these guys are at 100% physically and mentally, and some days you aren't. We've all experienced it, so it's hard to know how those things play into it. Speaking of which, someone who was not 100% today and ended up withdrawing from the tournament, Jason Day, which was very surprising. So with the increased popularity of sports betting, and the potential significant amount of money to be won and lost, do you think that the PGA Tour should require an injury report like they have in football? Adam, what do you think about that?
Well, first, so Jason Day was T6 going into Sunday. I think he was in Xander and Kokrak's group, the second to last group. He played the first hole, and I think he made a triple bogey. He might have hit in the water twice. He was one of my picks on our YouTube show. I do. With Craig for Sunday. He was doing really well tee to green, and I liked him a lot for Sunday, and I played him in DFS, and I had him start on my leaderboard, and I was looking forward to watching him get started his day, and then he blew up on the first hole. I'm like, okay, well, we got to make some birdies here. And then the tweet from PGA Communications come out that he withdrew. So I'm kind of conflicted here as a fan and as someone who just loves golf and a bettor. As a fan, like he lost out on a 6-figure paycheck pretty much by withdrawing. So it must have been serious.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for anyone who lost their entries in daily fantasy or betting. I feel bad for
$3. Adam wants his $3, Jason.
The $3 I lost, I mean, it hurts me. It's probably close in significance to his 100,000, but you know what?
Hundreds of thousands, yeah, because I mean, he easily could have finished top 5 going into the day.
But it's just interesting it happened here. So for the first time ever, we had MGM show live odds during the PGA Tour broadcast. DFS and sportsbooks have been kind of becoming legal throughout the world, throughout different states in the U.S. Most sports, NFL is huge for this. Someone's questionable, someone's doubtful. We have it from NBA. People have to submit it before that day, that game, whatever it is. I think we need to get something for PGA. There needs to be a public confidence that we're all on kind of the same page here. There needs to be open communication. And it's tricky because if someone wakes up, I think Mackenzie Hughes, before he made it to the Tour Championship, whatever, the Northern Trust, he woke up funny and had a stiff neck. Yeah, I don't know if that gets communicated in an injury report or if it's Brooks, who actually has significant injuries and he's battling back. Like, it's hard to know if it's coming from them, how you can take that report, but I just feel like there needs to be some kind of communication to fans, especially with the increased popularity of betting.
I think it's tough to compare across sports because part of the reason that, especially the NFL where injuries I think are the most predominant, but other team sports like that, is that you're playing against an opponent. And so preparation for the opponent that you're about to play may hinge on who's going to be playing that week and the probabilities of people playing. And I think the other thing that I think is a little bit problematic is that these guys are essentially private contractors and they have less obligations to the PGA Tour and to the individual tournaments than say teams do as part of the NBA or the NFL. So I sort of agree with it, some of the principles of it, but I don't think it's really that feasible. And in this instance, Jason Day, from the interview he gave, or it may have been just them talking about it, but apparently he tweaked his neck while warming up on the practice range. So it's the type of thing that if it had been an injury report, it wouldn't have really shown up until minutes before tee off. And
you know what? And as much as we talk about this, it's never going to happen. I don't think with the PGA Tour. I just don't think it's something that they're going to be able to control enough to put anything official out. I think you just got to follow these guys on social media and hope they're sharing and do your research.
I try to gain leverage any way I can. I just think, with how much these guys are working out now, how vicious their swings are to get that extra distance, there's gonna be more injuries, and also how long the season is. It's a 50-week season. Of course, they're not playing every tournament, but there's no real off season for them to heal their bodies. They have to pick and choose their schedule, and it's different for every person depending on their status. People are getting bigger. They're actually working out. It's a little bit different than when we even look back 20 or 40 years ago in the golf world.
Yeah, they're much more athletes in the modern, what we think of modern athletes. And you know what? The other thing is just a shame for Jason Day because he's battled through so many injuries and the back, and now I don't know if this is related to the back or what, but when he was playing well this week, I heard them making comment about how he's changed his swing. He's talked to Tiger about ways of changing your swing to be less stressful on your back, and so. I pulled up Jason Day on PGAtour.com. Do you guys have a guess as to how old he is?
32.
You must have also pulled him up on PGA
No,
Tour.
I didn't.
I would have thought he was way older than that just based on all the issues he's been dealing with health-wise.
Yeah, I would have guessed he's a little older, but hopefully he can get himself right. When he was number one in the world, I guess what was that, 5 years ago now or something like that. He was phenomenal, and it'd be nice to see him getting back to that level, but only time will tell, I guess. Speaking of injuries and athletes, we had Brooks Keopka return for his first week back since his injury.
What a segue.
So Craig, how do you think he looked out there this week?
I was impressed by what I saw out of Brooks. I think that the results probably weren't. I honestly don't think he cared too much about his actual score this week. I think that he said at some point it was about getting competitive reps before Augusta. I thought that there was a lot of good takeaways. He looked good swinging. I think that there's things that he can work on still before Augusta, but I was impressed from what I saw physically.
So from what I heard from him too, I guess he said he didn't know how bad he felt until he's now feeling better. So
interesting.
Maybe he finally has turned a corner, because I think in the past he was more hurt than we were kind of led to believe,
and what he was letting on, I think, too.
Exactly.
So did you guys hear if he's playing or planning to play another tournament before the Masters?
So I was looking through the field next week, and I didn't see him. And I think I would be surprised if he's not playing next week. I'd be surprised if he did play anything else before Augusta.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, because then we only have Bermuda and Houston, which I think after Zozo, I think a lot of the top guys will.
That'll be it before Augusta.
Yeah. So the top guys, some of them, they didn't really perform like we thought they might this week. JT sort of hung around there, right around the -8, -10 mark for, it seemed like Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing. Rory was yo-yoing like Rory tends to do sometimes, up and down. Rahm was right there, kind of around 4 under most of the tournament, wasn't he? What do you guys have any thoughts on any of those guys? Murakawa was my pick. He kind of did the same thing as Justin Thomas, just had a good Friday, but wasn't really able to maintain the momentum.
I think both Craig and I felt JT and Rory were kind of stalking for a lot of Friday, Saturday maybe, possibly going into Sunday to make a move. I think Rory today went bogey double or something like that. Like I didn't exactly see
his finish. He was either 5 or 6 over. I want to say somewhere around there in his last 5 or 6 holes. And so the one thing I was going to say about Rory is I thought that we were starting to see really promising things, and I was planning to hype him up coming out of this tournament. You look at his score. I think I brought this up to you guys. I might have brought it up to you a couple of times, but he had a lost ball on Friday, number 7, I want to say, the par 5, where essentially he was hitting a long second shot into the green, and in that front hill it just embedded and was lost. And so it's essentially a 2-stroke penalty, lost ball, go back and hit that second shot in again. And so I was going to be hyping up the fact that Rory has turned the corner, and he just, I don't know what happened on the back 9 today, but he had been playing well for the most part, and then just blew up. And I haven't had a chance to look through it all because it was not, they didn't show it on the broadcast because they don't usually show those ugly finishes on the broadcast.
And then have you ever noticed with some of these top guys like Rory and DeChambeau, they can have a 9-hole stretch or something like that where something just isn't working, and they maybe they'll shoot 40 on a 9 or something like that, and it kills their tournament. Like they still are good enough that they can be right there, but I mean they've shot themselves in the foot. It's too much of a handicap to overcome, and we saw that with DeChambeau last week at the Shriners. He had, I think it was the front 9 on Saturday that he shot a 40. Rory's done it a couple times now.
Rory doesn't seem all the time.
Also, not quite at the top, but Xander did that on Saturday. It's like it's one little inch they can be off, or a fraction of an inch in their swing or their setup, and it just they lose it for.
Well, and they used to say that about Tiger. That Tiger was the best bad golfer. Like he was the best golfer when he's not playing well of anyone out there. And you do see that a little bit from JT, I think.
I agree.
Where he does a better job hanging around, I think, than someone like Rory. But Yeah, I think from all three, so say JT, Rory, and Rahm this week, we saw basically what felt almost like their par. Like they were better than the average person in the field, but they were kind of they didn't play well for their standards, but they didn't play horrible for their standards. It was kind of just when they're not playing great, but they're just out there being one of the greatest golfers in the world.
I feel
that's
like
an interesting concept. Their par. I wonder if that's like if you could match that up with maybe pre-tournament lines or something like that, and that's what their par would be. Anyway.
I was just gonna say I feel like Rahm wasn't really close at any time, which I kind of going into Wednesday night. I really liked him once DJ dropped out due to the positive COVID test. I think Rahm could have overtaken him for number one in the world with a first or second, and that's the kind of motivation I think Rahm likes. So I really liked him going into the tournament, but he just never seemed to be close. He was just kind of chipping away, top 30, top 20, never really threatening.
Yeah, the one thing about Rahm, it felt like he was kind of at 4 or 5 or 6 under on Thursday or Friday probably, and then just it seemed like he might gang one or two, but then fall right back. Like it just he didn't have any momentum. And I guess the other one that we haven't talked about so much, Colin Murakawa disappointed me a bit. It seemed like he was positioned somewhat well going into the weekend to him and Xander and Hovland, if you were watching the featured groups, they were together on Thursday, Friday, and their Friday round was just so entertaining because all three of them were hot. And I thought Morikawa was going to do a good job carrying that momentum over the weekend, and he just didn't. Like he didn't really show any signs of life.
Yeah, he just kind of coasted into the finish there with I think he was. I want to say it was -8, and Schauffele finished at -13 after Friday. He kind of went toe-to-toe with him in that feature group, like you were saying. And I believe Morikawa finished right around -8 after the weekend. So, didn't really do anything from that position. Adam, why don't you give us your 3 stars for the week?
Yeah, so my third star is Russell Henley. So as we talked about, he was the leader after 54 holes. He had a 3-stroke lead going into Sunday. Didn't win, but I think it's a lot of positives to take away from it. He actually hasn't had a top 5 since the 2019 John Deere Classic. I think he's a 3-time winner. He's a multiple PGA Tour winner, so he's been around a while, but he's routinely near the top in the PGA Tour, going back a couple years in strokes gained approach, but he's been a poor putter. He just hasn't been able to convert, and he was actually second this week in strokes gained putting behind Kokrak. So I don't know. He's an interesting kind of guy to keep track of, and I just hope he's found something possibly with his putter. Hopefully it's not just kind of a one tournament flash in the pan, but yeah, he's my 3rd star.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I thought Henley, a lot of people with the lead he had going into Sunday, a lot of people could say that he lost it. I don't think he did. I think that, he went out there. He maybe could have taken a little bit more advantage of the opportunities that he had and some of the scoring holes. But, Kokrak and Schauffele just went low. When people go out there and shoot a 64 that are a few strokes behind you to start the day, you're going to have to play pretty darn well to keep up.
Yeah, I think Henley was disappointed probably with the result because he probably envisioned today that he might be having a chance on 18, and that wasn't the case. But again, I don't think that that's on him so much as those other guys just playing really well today.
This is a quick aside, but what did you guys think of his outfit on Sunday? It's kind of like brown and off brown. I saw as soon as the coverage came on and he was wearing them, I'm like, he can't be lifting a trophy with that.
Not gonna win.
Come on, you got to clean that up a little bit.
Adam, you've always been a little more flashy.
Okay,
I thought it was quite dapper.
I was gonna say, it kind of reminded me of something Kevin would wear.
Yeah, okay. And we're going earth tones today. My 2nd star is Xander. So Craig pulled out this stat, I think on one of our YouTube shows or possibly our Twitch show on Wednesday, but I think you said, Craig, he was top 2 in 6 of his last 16 no-cut events. Was that the stat?
Yeah.
So he's now 7 of his last 17. He's top 2 in no-cut events, which is absolutely unbelievable.
Well, he's got the weight off his shoulders, you know.
It's just crazy.
Which, like, how many cuts does the guy miss? Why does he care about it being a no-cut?
Well, here's the other side I was going to throw out. His last 10 tournaments, he's top 25 or better. So he's on a remarkable kind of run of golf. I mean, he has been for a while. We were saying if he's a top 5 golfer, I think he's in that 5 to 10 range. But top 25 in the last 10 tournaments, and he seems to be always hanging around there at U.S. Opens, other majors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where, you know, sort of what I was saying, where I would like to see him being a little bit more dominant. I think that he's got the game to, and I think everyone likes Xander. I think everyone likes it when Xander's up there contending, because he's such a competitive guy that I want to see him being a little bit more, you know, the whole step on their throat mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about him a lot on the podcast before. I like him. I want to see him win. I told you guys I was cheering for him today. You know, wasn't his day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
First star, it was his day. Jason Kokrak, first win on the PGA Tour after 233 events. That's just like a PGA Tour grinder. I mean, he just kept his card. Went to Las Vegas, where he has some ties to. He is an MGM ambassador. He knew Shadow Creek, and he got his win. So my trivia to you guys, do you know where Jason Kokrak was born?
No.
Cricket's over there.
San Francisco.
North Bay, Ontario.
Oh.
I was wondering.
Low-key top Canadian.
Low-key, yeah, exactly. I don't know exactly when he moved to the States, but...
It also, they could have been American parents that were in Canada for work or something like that, you know?
Yeah, but I think we can take that as a win, you know?
Oh, right.
Canadian golf, right?
So what do you guys think of this win for Kokrak? Do you think it was a little bit of a lucky win? Like, he putted his ass off, like,
so
today for
think,
sure.
Yeah, so I think that it is a little bit of a lucky win in the sense that he putted his ass off, and he's not that good of a putter typically, but he is typically a very good ball striker. So I think this is the classic ball strikers, people who are as good at driving the ball and you know, hitting into greens. When they do have that week where they get a hot putter, you know, maybe he knows the course, he feels he knows the course better than other people. I think that's when you see it happen for them, and this is just when it all came together for him.
I was just gonna say, I think I texted you guys after their 11th hole, and they just tied up, or possibly the next hole. They just tied up at 19 under, and I said, who do you guys think is gonna take it? And I just said, yeah, I think it's gonna be Xander, because Kokrak's putter is too hot right now. Like this isn't sustainable.
Yeah. But last hole, I mean, what a drive. Has a 9-iron or pitching wedge into that 18th green, which
on a par 5, yeah.
The par 5, which, you know, that hole you could see where it's pretty cool par 5. First off, where everyone can get over the water in 2, but there's such a huge advantage for, say, the Rorys or the Kokraks. I think they said Kokrak had the second longest drive of the day, and so he can, you know, they're holding that green was difficult, and so to be able to play a wedge or a 9-iron and hold that green gives you the advantage of distance, which is such a better concept than a lot of these par 5s where you know, it's either go for 2 or not. It's not like people going for 2. There's kind of that really good variation in terms of the distance.
Okay, and then I got one thing. So we've had 6 tournaments here to start this season, right? Jason Kokrak was our last winner. We have had 6 winners. Can you guys, here's another trivia for you. The average age of the winners this season.
Well, we had Sink.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 40.
I'm
gonna say 33.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of old winners. So I included Bryson, U.S. Open. I guess I don't know if PGA, but I included Bryson. He's the youngest one. It was 36.5 is the average age of the winner this season. So those Murakawas and Wolffs, hey, watch out. These old guys still got it.
Yeah. So Kokrak was the first time winner of the season, I believe.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're talking about how well he putted this week, and whether it was like, it wasn't lucky. He played really well.
For sure.
He got a hot putter, and the way he played 18 shows you that he was ready to win, and he went out and got it.
He totally got it. Yeah,
there was no wavering under the pressure of the moment at all.
No.
Yeah.
No. So let's move into stock up, stock down. Craig, who do you have moving up this week?
Okay, so this one is I just, first off, I love watching this guy play. We've brought him up on the pod before. Terrell Hatton. He came over from the BMW PGA Championship, winning it last week in Europe. Came over super jet lagged, and what was it, 65 he shot on Thursday. Continued to go low on Friday. Not quite as low, but then had, similar to Xander, he had a bit of a setback day on Saturday, and then came out and shot another 65 today. He finished tied for third. I just was very impressed. His ball striking, he was number one in approach on the week. He was, if you combine approach and off the tee, he was number one ball striker this week. I thought there were so many positive takeaways for Terrell Hatton this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch a ton of him play, and I've seen some of the cut ups of him and his antics, and I like the guy, but he had a wedge he hit at one point, and he hits it, and then on his follow through he just chucks the club forward like helicopters it forward.
Is that afterwards where he was kicking it down the fairway?
Yeah.
Oh, it was so beautiful. He was holding his follow through, and instead of just coming down, he just tossed it. I loved it.
I was watching, I just burst out laughing. It's like the kind of thing that, somebody on your local municipal course would do. And
Yeah.
You don't see it from those guys a lot.
You hear the broadcasters talking about how enjoyable it is to be the one following his group because you could just stand back and let the story tell itself. One of the things, though, that I don't know who it was that commented on it is, for someone that gets so fired up and can be so negative at times, he does a really good job of he lets those emotions flow and then he gets over it and is totally focused on his next shot. A lot of these guys, people would talk about Rahm when he was early coming out, they'd get so heated and they wouldn't be able to let go of it. He seems like the type that can almost sustain a little bit that emotional volatility.
So Craig, what category do you fall into? Are you able to let it go on the course, or do you hang on to it?
I'm chill these days. I no longer am the fiery youth I once was.
The rage monster you once
Ever
were
since
on
he
the
started
course.
golfing barefoot and was connected to the earth, he's been much more ground.
Earth tones,
It's all about mindfulness, guys.
All right, Craig, who do you have moving down this week?
Yeah, stock down. Scotty Sheffler. I love Scotty Sheffler, first off, but he had a couple weeks off there for when he was diagnosed with COVID. Apparently gained 10 pounds, and this is the third tournament we've seen him in. Hasn't been great results. He did make the cut in his first one, kind of just an up and down week, and then he missed the cut last week, although he played fairly well. It was a crazy cut. Yeah. He just really, he had a 77, and I want to say, aside from that 77, he was, 71, 71, 70, around there. He never really had a good day, and he had a bad day. It's just, from what we saw out of Scotty Sheffler closing out the season, the 2020 season last, into the Tour Championship, I was expecting him to have so much more momentum right now and really be looking to kind of move up into those top 15, top 10 guys in the world. And we haven't seen it.
Yeah. Well, he definitely hasn't had his form since he's come back from his COVID illness. So, hopefully we see it again soon. Yeah. He's fun to watch when he's playing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of my picks on our YouTube show, and I kept waiting for him to make that move Thursday, Friday. It just never came.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Adam, who do you have moving up this week?
Yeah, so moving up, Bubba Watson. Not a guy I talk about much. Although he was very entertaining on the Wednesday.
I was going to say, do you mean as a commentator, a broadcaster, or as a golfer?
He was very entertaining as a commenter, as a interviewer. Yeah. He was really good. But he was one of my sleepers for DFS this week. He finished T7. But he's actually first in strokes gained tee to green. So he's hitting the ball really well right now. He's just on a really nice run of golf. And stock up, right around the corner, is the Masters.
Yeah.
We know he likes that track.
Bubba has Bubba tracks, and Augusta is a Bubba track.
Yeah. I also just find, like, how is it not easy to cheer for Bubba? Is it just me?
Well, there's positives and negatives to.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's one of the guys that's highest on my list, but
well, like, so this thing on Wednesday, like, this is the type of thing that makes me a fan of a guy. So apparently he was one of the guys that helped make this whole Wednesday
I think
charity nines happen, and you compare Ricky, who was out there barely talking, apparently barely engaging, really subdued. Maybe, I don't know why, but you think of Ricky as being this jovial, happy-go-lucky type, and would be great in that kind of thing. But here's Bubba carrying the whole tone of the event and really being like, this is about charity. This is about all these things. And he just, to me, that's just like such a classy pro doing that kind of thing.
Also watching that, Kevin Na would be a really fun guy to play golf with.
Yeah, he seems like a fun guy.
He's done a few of those now too.
Yeah, he just seems like a really funny guy.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
I saw the clip again of him and Tiger at the Players Championship from a few years ago, or a couple years ago, where he walked that one in real early, or reached for it real early, and then Tiger did. Yeah. It makes me laugh.
He's also, I think, an MGM ambassador, so maybe we should see if we can go get a game in with Kevin Na.
I like it.
Yeah. Adam, who do you have moving down this week?
Yeah, so I don't know if we made this an official rule or not. If we can't pick,
I was gonna raise an objection here.
So my moving down is Paul Casey. I'm just gonna throw 3 stats. So 20, and this is why I liked him and why he disappointed. 2019 on the year, he was 0.7 strokes gained approach, which is 8th on the tour. 2020, he was 0.631 strokes gained approach, which is 9th on the tour. And then for the CJ Cup, he lost 3 strokes gained on approach for the tournament and was 62nd. That's it. That's my Paul Casey.
So if anyone is wondering what we're talking about, we were talking about making a rule last week where the person you picked for one and done, you can't pick
if them for your stock down. Well. Yeah.
I forgot about that, so
yeah.
There we go.
It was disappointing.
For me this week, I have my stock up is Russell Henley. I was just impressed with the way he played. He always he seemed to really be in control of his game, and his mental approach seemed really sharp from what you could, what came across on TV. But he definitely didn't look like it was too big for him out there. Like he was trying to punch with these guys when they were, when they were going low. Wasn't quite able to do it, but a guy I hadn't really seen play all that often, and I was impressed. So he's my stock up. My stock down is Matthew Wolff. So I did that one for you, Craig.
I was going to say, here's the secret out of you. Just get someone else to take your one and done.
Matthew Wolff coming off that loss in the playoff last week, and strong finishes over the last, or the early part of the season here. I would like to see some consistency from him. He totally laid an egg this week. Like it might be a course thing. It wasn't a course that suited his eye or whatever. But if you're going to be in that elite group of players, you can't just have these kind of totally off weeks. I know it does take a lot out of these guys too when they're in contention to. It's a lot mentally, but we were talking last week on the podcast about how he just exudes confidence right now, and he's just like playing with house money, and he's, so I don't really see why he would have a letdown and a letdown week, and that's kind of what it seemed like to me. So, just a little bit disappointed in him. I'm still a big fan of his, but
and I think the other thing we might have been saying is that it seems like he's brought what his floor is up, and and that he has shown he's going to be more consistent, and that was just maybe it was we were hoping we saw that, or maybe this week's a bit of an aberration, but
I mean he shot an 80 on Thursday, so. that's a pretty high or a pretty low floor, I should say.
I remember saying, that last week on the podcast, and it seems too good to be true, and his early wins and his top fives in the majors, and but his floor, like I said, like we've been talking about, like when your bad golf is still pretty good, then you can compete. That did not happen this week. His bad golf was bad.
Yeah. So other guys we haven't really mentioned yet. I don't know if you have anything you want to talk about with any of these guys, but near the top of the leaderboard, we had Gooch, Lanto, Griffin, Neiman, Harris English, Sebastian
Munoz. He's a guy that seems to be up on these leaderboards very often. He's playing really well.
He's playing good golf.
I was going to say he had a few miscuts after the restart, but maybe it was around the playoffs. He really has turned it around, and he's had a few at least top 10 since then that in stronger fields. Yeah.
Neiman kind of snuck up there today. I think he was 6 under on the day to kind of.
He just has so much game. 10. Like he seems to. He's one of these people who, no matter where he ends up being long term in his career, he'll win tournaments for the level of golfer. Like he'll go out there and he'll lose times too, but he goes for it. There's some people who they'll kind of be middling, and he just seems like someone who is going to go for it and hit at pins and all. Maybe it's because he's 21 and he's still doing that, but I saw a slow motion video of his swing this week, and his move at the ball is unbelievable. Like the way he coils up his body and the torque he's generating at impact and the position he's in. I mean, I don't think there's many people who could replicate it. That's for sure. Well, I've heard people talk about him being just absurdly strong. Like you don't think about it with guys who are wiry, but apparently he's one of these people that you kind of think of a lightweight, welterweight, featherweight type boxer, and how strong those people can be for their size. And apparently he is. Like he's one of these people. If you were in the gym with him, you would be getting lapped.
I was gonna ask Kevin if he liked his swing because they had the same body shape, but.
Well, so like there's like people who are strong and there's like people who are not strong.
And then there's me and Jason Kokrak who are just built tough.
Neiman's not a very tall guy though, is he?
No, he's a. I don't know how tall he is. He's wiry though. But just real quick, sure. Gooch and Lanto. I was a little disappointed today. Both of them I thought might give it a shot today, and Gooch had a decent finish, but nothing spectacular. Lanto kind of middling day to day.
Yeah.
Often going into Sunday, I take a look at the lines, and those guys that are kind of just behind the lead group, you can get some pretty good odds on, and those were the two guys I put a bit of money on today, hoping they would kind of make a run, and neither of them did, unfortunately, but maybe next time. Why don't we give a quick Pix recap here? So of note, Craig had picked Schauffele to win, so he finished second. That was a good
near
one
miss.
there.
Near miss.
For fades, Adam faded Hatton, which, classic fade bump there.
Classic. You're welcome.
Yeah, I faded Sanjay, so, that was a pretty good call. I haven't been great with the fade picks.
Well, no, I had to notify that because, Sanjay was 21st or something low odds to win this tournament. That's not much of a fade to me. No, I think we need to put a rule top 10 odds to win here.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, well, this whole fade thing it's Craig faded Tiger one time when Tiger was he barely made it to the first tee.
So you're saying Tiger's no longer a competitor?
Listen, I'm not. No, you're twisting my words now. So then for the one and done, we had Adam picked his boy Paul Casey there, which
well, you're using my boy liberally there. I don't know
that okay, fair enough. Craig picked Matthew Wolff, so Paul Casey was T69, Matthew Wolff was 73.
Managed
so you can say
worse.
I pulled away a little bit further from Craig with Paul Casey's performance.
Yeah, a few $1,000 separation there.
Yeah,
and then I picked Harris English, who opened with a 75, made me a little nervous, but then as my one and done picks tend to do, he just worked his way up the leaderboard the rest of the week and finished in 10th place. So
exactly the kind of thing I was hoping for from him last week when I picked him and he missed the cut.
So to give a quick update on the standings, Craig's at 200 and something thousand, Adam's at 300 and something thousand, and I am at 1.3 million. So the note here that we have is that I have of 6 tournaments, I've picked 5 guys that have finished in the top 10, and I'm $1 million clear of you guys. So I don't know.
You know what a purse is? You know what a win goes for? Like 1 win. I wouldn't get too high on your horse here.
There's another 43 tournaments plus maybe alternate tournaments. We got time.
Okay, maybe. But you know what? I now have a 1-win buffer. So come at me, guys.
One thing to note, half of a win.
So this picks table that we're talking about, it is on our website every Wednesday before the tournament. So you can check out our picks on our website there.
Craig, why don't we go into your good, bad, and ugly now? And I believe you're featuring Shadow Creek in this version.
Yeah, so I'm going to change it up a bit because typically, I look for a golfer or a few golfers here that did something on the course. But this week, I just wanted to talk about the course itself. So the good, first off, I thought in a lot of ways it was spectacular. The greens were pretty cool. They talked about them being some of the best greens they've played, potentially better than Augusta. You could see all these undulations and banks in the greens and just a lot of really positive things. Unfortunately, sorry, go ahead.
Did you hear this on the broadcast that they hadn't played on the course for 6 weeks leading up to the tournament?
Really?
So that's why these guys are saying that
that's unbelievable.
6 weeks?
That is crazy.
Like, of course, there's no spike marks or anything. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not like I can understand it in August in Vegas or something, but this seems like it's good golfing weather right now. I don't know. There must have been some upset people with that closure.
Well, I don't think there's any members. Like, I think it's just for tourists to come and play. Guess. So.
Oh wow.
I don't know if there's a lot of in the States I guess there is still maybe some tourism happening, but not as much going on right now.
It's a lot of lost revenue though. 6 weeks of no paying customers. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So the bad, this just blew me away. So lost balls right in the middle of holes. I already spoke about Rory, how on one of the par 5s hitting into it, he lost a ball right in the front bank between a bunker and a green. And then I'm sure most of you saw the video or the photos from Brooks on number 11, which was a reachable par 4 that they hit into, and he hit his tee shot and again right into the long grass soft bank on the front of the green complex. And it was actually pretty cool because Rory had lost a ball the day before and he was playing with Brooks, and so he was in there as aggressively as anyone, and he had about 8 people in there trying to dig through looking for the ball, and they found it.
That was a crazy video. I mean, it looked like they were looking for a contact lens. Like there's all over the place, and there was padding. And
in like maybe a 3 yard by 2 yard area. Like, how can you not? They know exactly where this is.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And then so finally the ugly, and this is where I'm going to go on a bit of a rant because to me this golf course represents so much that is wrong with golf, and that people outside, like we are very big golf fans and we love golf, and you'll hear a lot from people outside the golf world all the things that are wrong with golf. And, whether it's how elitist it is and how it's these privileged little enclaves that, really there's no reason that we should be having so much resources put towards these places.
They're taken away from parkland, golf courses.
They're taken away from park. Yeah. And so you think about, they're talking about this place as an oasis in the desert. And I don't know if you guys know what oases are, but they're like places where there's natural springs, and they're these quaint little, and there's absolutely nothing natural about this place. They took a flat, hard pan piece of desert and they moved an absurd amount of land, and they brought in all of these non-native plants and have all of these ridiculous Like everyone's talking about like how great this bent grass in the desert is, because no one else does that, because you have to water so much and you have to spend so much energy and time. And I did way too much research on this, and apparently they have a young superintendent, Tim Cloninger, who
I love how deep you went through your research that you figured out this superintendent.
Oh man, you don't even know how deep I went. I was looking at water tables. So first off, apparently this guy does a great job. He is a young superintendent. He actually has like an absurd amount of training to be a superintendent. He's got a master's, I want to say, in water resources, and has dramatically decreased their water usage. But sorry, I'm going to try to keep this rant short. But
no, I like this.
Essentially, the Colorado River, where this is, and Lake Mead, which is the famous one behind Hoover Dam, has been decreasing for years, and the whole area, like the whole Southwest U.S., has huge water issues. So then we go to this golf course in Vegas, and they're talking about all of the like how lush it is and how it doesn't even feel like it, like without any, like totally blind to the absolute irony of what they're talking about in times of unprecedented destruction
hardship
of hardship and like overuse of resources, and it's just the total failure of the golf world to look and understand how this looks to people outside of it, to me, is what's just so ugly about all of this. You have a place where you're talking about jokingly about it being $600 a round to play there. Like, do you know why it's $600 a round? It's because water in the desert costs an absurd amount of money. And so, like, maybe instead of talking about this like it's like you can get anything you want here, you could have caviar at the turn, or like maybe we should take a step back and like you look at TPC Summerlin last week, and the natural areas were desert. You look at they have native areas here where they have imported trees and all of this shrubbery that, like you have banks that are so soft with long, lush grass that balls are embedded and being lost in them in the desert. Like this, I don't know.
I love this rant because I think it needs to be said. I think it needs to be heard. I think 99% of the golf community is just going to give this Shadow Creek a standing ovation. Because they're the host course, of course, the commentators are going to be overwhelmingly positive. I mean, they have to. Just like with a sponsor, they're not going to say, I lost my FedEx shipment or something like that. Mm-hmm. They know where, their money is coming from, right?
I'm sure that didn't happen. FedEx is super reliable.
But it just needs to be heard. And I completely agree with everything. Like, golf there shouldn't be a large barrier to entry. Yeah, there should be different levels. But with golf courses, they should have some aspect of respecting the land that they are built on, and not just complete. I mean, it kind of fits because everything about Vegas is fake. So in one sense, it does kind of fit there. But I completely agree with you.
Well, I think we were talking about it on Friday when one of the broadcasters was like, "Yeah, like it looks like it could be fake out there," and the other people were like, well, like it all is fake.
All of this is fake.
Yeah, but you know what? I thought that that's the way it looked. I thought it didn't. It looked cheesy. Just didn't. Yeah, it looked kind of cheesy to me. I didn't love it personally. I just didn't love the way it played. It I don't know. I just got a bad kind of viewing experience from it, and for some weird reason, and maybe that all plays into it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just think so I also, as I was doing this research, I realized that we have come around a little bit in terms of golf course design and architecture, and now there is much more movement towards using the landscape and making it fit with the place that it is, whereas this was built in the early 90s, and that was how it was then. It was you have this vision and you impose it upon the land, and I'm just happy that we have gotten away from that. And I think that I just think that we need to be a little bit, we being like the golf world, needs to be a little bit more self-aware as to how this looks to people who aren't part of this little bubble.
Yeah, and make it as let's try to make this bubble bigger too. Let's not be so restrictive on how easy it is to come into the bubble. Let's let everyone in. Let's
For sure. You know, you're wearing a hoodie, you can come play.
Well, and then, okay,
you're,
so after
you're
we
wearing
talked about
joggers,
hoodies,
you get over here too.
after we talked about hoodies, all on Monday and Tuesday on Twitter, I saw these different people tweeting out from their clubs, no black socks, no hoodies. Like, give me a break. Let's,
Yeah.
golf, like, just stop being so full of yourself sometimes.
Yeah, just a little bit more self-awareness. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to move on here because for those of you who don't know Craig well, his rants can go on for some time if you don't jump in at some point. So I want to talk a little bit about the Champions Tour event this week, the Dominion Energy Charity Championship, where Phil Mickleson won his second career start on the Champions Tour. He's 2 for 2. He shot a final round 65 to win by 3. I don't know if you guys were able to watch much of this. It's on in the morning, so I before the coverage, so I was watching it, and it was a battle of the lefties there. Phil and Mike Weir.
When you had sent a text saying, "Are you guys watching the battle of the lefties?" And I was looking at the feature groups that I had on Golf TV, PGA Tour Live, and I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. So then I was looking through the NFL games to see, like, are there 2 left-handed quarterbacks playing each other? Like, it took me a while to realize that you were talking about Weir and Mickleson.
Yeah,
I just turned it on as Weirzy was about to hit his approach on 18. So but
yeah, so Mickleson, the closing holes there, I believe, are, I can't remember, but they're all birdie opportunities. There's a drivable par 4 and a couple par 5s, I believe, and 18's a par 5. And Mickleson, he hits bombs. Weir's not a bomber. So Weir, he played nicely. He shot a very good round on Saturday. I think he was leading, or they were tied going into Sunday. Not totally sure, but no, I'm pretty sure Weir was leading. Anyway,
Weir was leading at one
down.
point. I saw, but I mean, they played 36 holes yesterday.
It was weird because of weather. Yeah.
So anyway, Mickleson showed that he is, if he can keep it in the ballpark, he can be a force on that tour because he can bomb it. He uses his length like Bryson is using his length on the PGA Tour. He's bombing it out there, and then with Mickelson's short game, he can get it up and down from everywhere. So going into the last few holes, it kind of felt like Weir didn't really have a chance because they were holes that Mickelson's distance were going to be a huge advantage. But yeah, I mean, Mickleson played them great. Like I say, he's 2 for 2 on the Champions Tour now. Going to be going for his first 3 starts, I think, which has never been done. Winning his first 3 starts.
So now Furyk also was 2 for 2, right? Furyk won his.
He
first
was, but I guess Els prevented him last week from going 3 for 3.
Oh, nice.
So,
I just love this group on the Champions Tour right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about these young guys. Mike Weir is 50 as well. So another young guy on the Champions Tour.
Well, and I love it. What I was going to say. I
think he's had 10 starts on the Champions Tour.
Weir is his Masters appearances the last few years. And so
I mean,
I thought that he was just really didn't have it anymore. But it's nice to see that he's still competitive with that group of
it's got to be so
age.
hard when you're in that 45 to 50 range and you can't be competitive and you're just missing cuts on whatever tour you're on. You almost just are waiting to get on the Champions Tour, right?
Well, I think a lot of these guys really work hard on their game and they take that opportunity to, if they want to change their swing in some way to make it so they have more longevity. Because if you can peak right as you're coming out onto the Champions Tour, you can make a very nice,
living
addition to your retirement fund.
Yeah. The thing with
especially if you take advantage
that,
of those first few years where you're the young gun out there, right?
Yeah. The thing with Weir too is that he's sort of like a golfer of a different era, more than just the fact that he is a golfer of a different era. His style of golf, it would be difficult to come out as a young player with his game now because distance is so much more has so much more impact that when he is in that 45 to 50 range and he was always a short hitter and distance has taken over the game, then it's just so much harder for him to be competitive. So nice to see that he is competitive out there with the older guys.
So when Kevin, he won his Masters, his wedges were just unbelievably dialed, and that's the way he wasn't hitting all the par fives and two. His wedge game was awesome.
Yeah, I remember his wedge game and his putting too. He always seemed like he was
really
a great
well
putter
that week as well.
So Kevin, I was going to ask, are you going to put down a small wager for him to make the cut at Augusta or what?
Ooh, interesting. I don't know. His game's on form. I like it.
His game's on form more than it has been in a while, I would say.
Yeah. And then the other noteworthy thing that I saw today was Robert Karlsson had an albatross on 18. I think he ended up going. It was either eagle, birdie, or birdie, eagle to finish his round. So he jumped up
that's crazy.
A ton of spots.
It's a good little payday.
Yeah, he made that. That's what they were saying. He paid some bills over his final 3 holes. I like that. Anything else from this week that you guys wanted to mention that we haven't already touched on?
I mean, if I could get back to my rant a bit, but
no, we're over that one.
I don't know. I have early mornings with a little one in the house, so I got the European Tour on most weekends and the Scottish Championship, not to be mistaken with the Scottish Open a couple of weeks ago. I was at the Fairmont St. Andrews in St. Andrews, and it looked like a nice track, and it was some good European golf over there. Matt Wallace fell off. He was my fade, so he was kind of similar with my Terrell Hatton. I think he finished top 5, so my fades did really well this week.
Well, that's what it's all about, flying close to the sun.
Yeah,
who won that one, Adam?
Ortega, I want to say. I'm gonna.
Ortega. Yeah, it's a. I don't know how to pronounce the name.
Yeah, meaning yeah.
I usually the
sound's not very. I love the commentators over there typically, but the sound was not very loud this morning.
Oh yeah, been there. Or those early mornings, yeah. You just want everybody else in the house to enjoy their sleep while you're awake.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, next week we have the ZOZO Championship, which has a great field. Tiger's back. It seems like
enough for a great field from Kevin.
It's good enough for me. It's a Tiger week. You guys know that I get up for Tiger weeks, that's for sure. Another no cut event. All the big guys are there. No Brooks and no Bryson, but otherwise, all the big guys are there. I don't know about Finau and DJ.
Well, if they're going to be. He responded to a tweet this either Tuesday or Wednesday, and he told some fan, I think, that he was planning to play at the CJ Cup. So there must have been something where he wasn't quite able to make the Thursday start. So I would be surprised.
It'll probably just depend on tests, I would think. Like he's planning to play, but then he has to get, however whatever their protocol is set up as, he has to get the negative tests in.
I mean, DJ almost seemingly like a week straight behind him. I think that'll be a closer call Wednesday night if DJ actually is able to tee it up.
Yeah, I hope we get to see Finau. I hope he's through it all and he can get the negative tests in and he'll be there.
Well, he's my boy. I want to see him out there. He's got to get back. But
I
want him to be healthy when he gets back.
I think I read that the great one, Wayne, is a member here at Sherwood.
Oh, yeah.
So DJ, I mean, I think I see he has the course record. So
yeah, so we're at Sherwood Country Club, which is not the typical, similar to CJ Cup. ZOZO's it's typically held in Japan, or has it gone between Japan and China, or is it just Japan?
Well, was last year the first year of the ZOZO?
Yeah, this is only the second year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Tiger won the first one last year, and so it's at Sherwood Country Club, which was the old host of Tiger's World Hero Challenge. So Tiger has some connection here, which I like. They're giving him a home game with his to defend his championship. I like that.
He's got deep LA roots. He used to always do well at the what is it, Genesis Buick. It's had a bunch of different names.
Yeah, he always. Right. I think he has a few Buicks in the garage. But yeah, it should be a good week. I'm looking forward to going through the field and making my picks for that. Because it's always funner when the big guys are playing.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, I don't know if you guys feel this. So you guys are on the Pacific Coast. I am Mountain Time. The Pacific start time with the limited field just it drives me crazy. I mean, I'm almost waiting till 11 o'clock before anything, and then coverage on Golf Channel doesn't start till 3.
Well, I know. That's the one thing I was going to say is that I like these ones where you get the pre-NBC or CBS coverage on Golf Channel, and then you get the coverage on there. So like now we've just got the featured group coverage early, and then we get, I don't know where the leaders were when coverage started today, but they were on like 6, 7, 8 maybe.
They were later than that.
Later
I think they were at the turn.
Yeah, like I agree. I prefer the earlier morning. It's the same thing with NFL. Like I love the 10 a.m. start here on the West Coast.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's funny because I think guys that come from the Pacific Coast time zone, when they go out into the Eastern time zone, they're like, how do you stay up to watch these games?
No kidding. Oh, I couldn't imagine that.
Monday Night Football ends at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No thanks.
Yeah, couldn't do it. You guys got anything else this week?
Nope.
For this week? All right. Well, thank you for listening. As always, check out all our content at grandstandgolf.com. And we look forward to talking more golf with you in the future. Take care, everyone.
See you guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.